because it could relieve one polling unit that has over 1,000 compared to 20 something.
Honestly,
it doesn't make sense.
I mean, Swat, to further buttress the point, the next polling unit was actually that primary school before Works and Housing, and it looks like, okay, what's going on? I just left a polling unit with 22 registered voters, and here it's 1,000 people. But the process has been very smooth in Gwarinpa, that primary school. The process is going really smooth. The other polling unit right at the gate of Works and Housing, the process looks to be very good. Everybody looks very coordinated. Lots of people have done their civic duty and they're just waiting. Then in War College, there's just one polling unit inside of War College, just by their gate.
I noticed that. I was there earlier.
They're well coordinated, people going about their civic duty and actually waiting for the result. I mean, at that particular polling unit, a lot of people have casted their vote. If you move towards Tipa Garage also in Gwarinpa, that's where you have another tons of voters doing their civic duty. Some have done, some are still on the queue. And a lot of them acknowledge that, the materials came in late, but I mean, because they were able to give themselves numbers, that's why it's really well coordinated. You also see that the security agencies, there are no very harsh tone with anybody, just go about your lawful business. But I think the big surprise for me is when we left Gwarinpa for Kubwa. It was quite shocking for me what we saw in Kubwa. It looks like some people are really above the law, above what the Inspector General of Police has been saying when it comes to restrictions of movement. It looks like some people maybe they do not understand what it means, or they have just chosen a path that is not right.
Don't we have security personnel around to check that?
That is also a concern, because I mean, while we went into Kubwa from after phase 3, where you have connecting to the road that leads to the train station after the NNPC junction in itself, Swat, it was a free day for Okada riders. They're just having a very good time. The ones who is not carrying anybody is looking for passengers. The ones who are not looking for passengers are just under a tree. A lot of them, I mean a lot of them, just gisting. And we had another guy on the side who is selling fruit. So basically, maybe when they gist to a point, they say, can you cut me some pineapple so that we'll just have fun? It looks like Okada riders were just everywhere. We saw the road safety corps members. It looks like they were dropping off their personnel at strategic points. But I don't know why we do not have those Okada riders obey the law of no movement at this time.
Well, thank you so much, Olafizi. Olafizi just got back from the field. I also have a guest in the studio. But before then, we understand one of our correspondents, Mary Manuel, is on standby and will be keeping us updated about happenings in her area before we get to introduce our guest. Hello, Mary. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you clearly. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Mary. Thank you so much for joining us. How's it going out there?
Very, very good around here. I would say that everything around here in Delta State has been coordinated. I was in Ika Northeast earlier today, and that's where the governor cast his vote.
Okay.
It was really smooth. Officials were here on standby. INEC officials actually resumed, or rather came here on time, as at 8:30, and they started up accreditation and voting, and everything was good. There was a presence of the security agencies on standby, of course, unarmed. Everything went well, and I went over to Anyosha North, yes, and it was the same results I got. Everything was cool. Right now, I just arrived at Anyocha South, Olona. Okay, I'm still trying to get the name because I'm not settled in.
Okay.
And I'm just seeing people excited all over, casting their votes. INEC officials. Okay, you can hear some shouts here. They're just performing their civic rights. So everything is going on really well. And if you check the roads, the road is dry on my way here. So people actually obeyed, the rules.
The restriction of vehicular movement, right?
Yes, there was. You could see some checkpoints where you see the heavy presence of the soldiers. Yes. So yes, people stayed out. Those that came out to vote, and those that did not stayed in their houses.
All right, Mary, has there been any security concerns in all the polling units or, areas you visited so far? Anything unusual with maybe security situation?
Okay, not at all, ma'am. Everything, like I told you, went smoothly. You could see everybody just behaved themselves, came, cast their vote, and left. You see some that would just linger around and gist. No sort of violence reported so far that I've heard of.
Okay. Is there anything we've left out, just before we wrap up?
None that I know of. Okay, although when I went to Anyocha North, that would be polling unit 5, Ward 8, there was a little complaint about the beavers not picking on time, but it was rectified and then voting continued. Although they are worried, like the time to stop election is by 2:30. Like, will they? Some people were worried if they would actually allow them vote before this time elapses. That's what we're still watching. That's why I'm not home. I'm here to monitor the whole process till the INEC official leave this place.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary, for, giving us that quick report from Delta. We really appreciate it. And if there's anything, I'm sure we'll get to hear from you. Yes?
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a wonderful day, Mary. Thank you so much. That was our correspondent, field correspondent, Mary Manuel, all the way from Anyocha in Delta State. On standby is Kalada. Kalada, good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
Good afternoon to you. I'm doing well.
Thank you for joining me. Tell me what's happening. What area are you and what's been happening so far? What have you seen?
I am just leaving the Obomighie axis. The Obomighie axis in River State has 3 local governments, Kana, Gokana, and Chai, right?
Hello?
I've been to Kana, I've been to the time we were there. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
All right, so I was saying we started with Kana local government area in the Obomighie axis in River State. And when we started early hours of the voting process, the materials had not arrived in many units. I hear in Kana they had about 19 units, and at the time only 8 units had received voting materials. So we visited Kana local government again sometime around 2, and the voting process had started. But in some wards and in some polling units, they were complaining about the result sheets being absent. In certain polling units now, they have seen the result sheets. The SPO said something about a mix-up, and they are rectifying the issue. In Gokana, Senator Magnus Abe's ward, that's Ward 14, I believe. Sorry, let me check my... Ward 16. They have 16 polling units there, 1 to 16. The BVAS was not working. The BVAS machines were not working at the time. But before we left that place, a couple of them started working. The INEC officials there said that it was because the machine or machines were not configured properly. But when we spoke with some other people there, they said it was because some of the INEC officials were not properly trained to use the BVAS machines. So by the time we left there, Senator Magnus Abe was able to vote. So right now we're on our way to Okrika, where we have Ogu and Bolo local government area and some other local government areas to see what the voting process is like.
Okay, in all areas we visited, Canada, has there been anything like security concerns, any altercation, any concerns whatsoever that you might have noticed?
In terms of security, Ogoni is largely peaceful. Like I would say, relatively peaceful. We have not heard of any fighting or any violence just yet. But what I did observe is that I could see some people gathered in one place in certain wards and polling units, writing down names on a list. Now, what they were writing those their names on that list for, I cannot tell. But of course, it's suspicious, and maybe, just maybe, it can be linked to vote buying. In one polling unit, I did see that.
Seems we have... Okay. Kalada, can you hear me?
crowd out votes. I think I even took a picture of it. Was the people crowding the cubicle, and they could see how the voter was voting. And yet again, I can link that to vote buying. It's suspicious as well.
Okay. Well, Kalada Batudo is our correspondent all the way from Rivers State. He has been giving us some updates as to happenings there. Thank you so much, Kalada. I'm sure if there are other new developments, you get in touch and we'll hear from you directly, right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate. All right, so that's it from some of our field correspondents. But joining me live in the studio this afternoon is Mazi James Okoroafor. How you doing? Good to see you.
Thank you, Swat.
How are you?
Fine.
Have you voted?
I just finished voting.
Oh, nice,
and,
nice.
The process is so cumbersome, but we were able to stand there because it's our civic right.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you said cumbersome, what exactly do you mean?
Okay.
What were some of the things that you saw?
I observed that INEC did not do. There are two basic things I have noticed. One is the logistics, communication. Then I noticed also ad hoc staff training.
Okay.
Now, in terms of logistics, I think I was one of those people who received a text message, I think 2 weeks ago, that we've been moved from our polling unit to another. But I think the cash phrase for me was, but it's in the same location. But I noticed that quite a number of other people were not in the same location. And you see, this new polling unit where we were sent to or was created, actually, there are a lot of new first voters. Now, we see people coming, looking for their names while accreditation was going on. Even as at time I left and was heading towards the studio after voting, there are people who cannot locate their polling units. You know, it is something to send SMS. I know there's some unsolicited SMS that sometimes when you see it is from probably NCDC or it's from INEC, you just ignore. Maybe they're just telling you to prepare for the election. Because I felt that if people were as serious as moving somebody from one polling unit to the other, there should have been a need for calling the person and asking the person to go in time to find out, because there are going to be people who are going to be disenfranchised in this election as a result of this logistic movement. You can't move people just 2 weeks to the election. And I for one, even in that same location, when I came in, I was able to locate my polling unit was I began to search for my name in all because the whole process is too cumbersome. You have to find your name in the register, and also you need your serial number to come to queue, first of all, to be accredited. And when accreditation is going on, I learned that NIC said they should be simultaneously. But in this case, I think in my own polling unit, they said the ballot paper was not yet around. So we were busy accrediting. And those people who have been accredited were all waiting for the ballot paper. Now, also one thing I noticed in that unit was that when I said voters ad hoc training, I think from the first time, I noticed that people were taking numbers. And they were giving numbers, serial numbers, so that we will not fall into problem of confusion of who came before who. So we all took serial numbers. But in that serial number, I was telling somebody that the copper or the person who's in charge did not understand that if you are giving serial number, you should have signed.
Exactly.
Sign against the number, because any other person can come and say he's 82, he's 63, and it happened. We had double numbers. And I think with the cordial relationship, some of our elderly people and some of us that were around were able to sort, okay, let the two people go and all those things. Now, the other training that I think they should know, that I think they've started, about 3 or 4 people have started voting when we noticed that the ballot papers were not stamped and signed.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Really?
So, so they had to call to that. It's a vote, it's an electoral that have called to the attention. No, I cannot vote because the ballot.
But that's supposed to be done at the instance of
yes. That's why I'm saying that the ad hoc people were not well trained. That's what I'm saying, because these are the procedures. Now, they had to call back and start stamping and start voting all over again. So, what I noticed that, and I also went to the other side where my partner was also voting when I finished voting. What I noticed is that I think we should stop dropping our polling unit in the front of the Sariki or whatever, chief ever or whatever. Because I noticed that there was so much protocols in that particular ward.
What sort of protocols are we talking about?
They wanted the chief and his family and quite a number of other people should first of all get accredited first, irrespective of who came before them. So I think it was that challenge. By the time they finish and the indigenous people finish, then that's when they felt say the other people start. And I also noticed that the procedure was so cumbersome because first of all you go and check your name in the register, hold your list number, you get accredited. After getting accredited, then you go for what they call it again. They will have to rub an ink in your hands before you finally go to vote. I noticed that a lot of people were getting frustrated, but I just saw that some people were so resolute to vote, and that's why they were there. And in some cases, that when you get there, and they will tell you your name is not on the register, that you have been moved to another
polling unit. So some people actually discovered that they had been moved at the point of going to vote.
That's it.
Wow.
When their name will not find the register, so they have to start moving around.
You know, I noticed that there have been lots and lots of errors, and it's very consistent all through the various polling units, not just in Abuja, but from all our field correspondents who've been stringing along with, and they've been telling us some of these errors. You talked about training, and INEC, I remember, in its briefing and press briefings to Nigerians over the time, the course of time to the build-up of the election, often made mention of the fact that they are ready for election. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't seem that is the true situation of things.
So there are two angles to this. Is that the quality of education that the people were training? Because I was asking somebody, I said, these are NYC. There are some things that you don't need to be trained. As from where I was trained as a graduate, during my undergraduate or my graduate day, we conducted elections in the university, SUG elections. And we know that whatever thing I am saying, even if it's not my original signature, I need to sign it. So it's not an information that I had to be trained, but it also shows the quality of the people we are churning out as graduates. So no matter what kind of training, so if you look at it in the other side, and I think this ad hoc training also is not enough. Probably INEC should have started the training much earlier than when they did. And also, it's not just to train people. Me, I'm a lecturer, and I know very well that sometimes if you train people, you should do what we call measurement and testing. So you don't just say, okay, we've given them the information. Can you ask them to bring back the information to see how they measure the information they have? So we should have run what we call a model or probably a test for the training, or just also because they are NYC members and we have shortage of volunteers. So anybody that agree, let him go to the polling station. It will do more disservice. So we should be able to bring these people, train them, and test if they know what they are doing. Because it could have been a calamitous situation when we have finished, if nobody noticed that the ballot papers were not stamped. You know what it means.
Yes.
So I thank God that one...
But was that noticed on time?
It was noticed, I think, the 4th or 5th voter just discovered, I said, my ballot papers are not stamped.
But then it also means that the previous ones who had most probably voted without the papers being signed would be invalidated. So that could affect the result of that polling unit. You know that?
So that's how everybody decided. Then they say, at a point, they said they don't even have the ink, the voting ink in the pad. I have to move to one of our stops and bring a what they call it, the GV we had there to bring for them so that they can point the impact. So these are the things we're talking about logistics. We're talking about, my question, I've always questioned, do we have to set up holidays for an election? Do we have to move these high budgets for it to be done in one day? Can't we learn from other climes? Swat, if you can move $1 million or $2 million naira from your phone through your banking app, which is very, 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 very dear to you, why can't we vote with our phones? Why can't we vote? While we are going to work, you just vote and you vote. You have banking apps you can't open 2 banking apps in a phone. You can't move one banking app to another phone. Before you do that, you have to go to to the bank and tell them I want to move my app to another phone to be able to allow me transaction.
The question is, do we have the political will to have a near perfect? Because I don't believe that any country, no matter how advanced, has a perfect electoral system. But you saw how much of the drama and the stretch before the signing of the 2022 Electoral Act. The question is, do we have leaders who are determined to give us a seamless and, a highly digitalized electoral system in Nigeria? That's a question.
You see, people make money from all these inadequacies. Mm-hmm. You see, people capitalize on all these too much bottlenecks to perpetuate all this nonsense problem we're having. Because the idea is, if you have an efficient voting system, we can shut down Nigeria. We don't see Swat. We are running through after this Naira swap issue. The country might enter into a contraction because business activities are not going, and we have to shut down Nigeria for the whole day. And probably in March again, we shut Nigeria again for another whole day. The economic loss is too much. We can run election. I'm telling you that we can run election seamlessly. People will still go to work. People will still do their daily chores and vote. There is this reality shows we've been watching. We see people vote, and people like Delotte and people like are confirming it, auditing those things. So we could do those kind of seamless elections. What I'm saying that it's too expensive, not just in money, in wasted time to run this bureaucracy. And at the end of the day, you will see that some people will claim that ballot paper did not get to them. We didn't get to them in time. You will see all these things will come up. So why can't we do it similarly? Because everybody have a banking app. After all, during this Naira swap, even the market women are beginning to have their own.
Exactly.
So we will learn. You don't tell me that we don't have density, tele-density. We don't have the infrastructure. But we can gradually build those backbones, then introduce an INEC app that you can put on a smart device. You can also vote by mail. So why can't we grow?
Interesting question you're asking. We will continue with our discussion and, of course, get to take feedback from people, voters out there who are itching to actually call in. But in the meantime, Yvonne Okoroafor from Surulere is on standby to give us her own report. Yvonne, how are you doing? Good afternoon. Hello, Yvonne. We can't get the audio here. Okay, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, loud and clear. Thank you so much for joining me. How's Surulere? What's happening there? Tell us.
Well, at the moment, voting has ended. Collation is on. I am currently at Itire, polling unit 121. You can look behind me. You can see election officials sorting votes right now. I'm trying to see how I can make this clear as possible. Moving backwards, and you can see right behind me. Anyway, so sorting has started. Election in this part of Surulere, voting was largely peaceful, as opposed to other parts of Surulere where reports of violence and ballot box snatching and whatnot were reported.
Okay, no ballot box snatching was reported. Is that what you said?
In this part of Surulere, yes. However, I heard, but I cannot confirm that there were pockets of violence in other parts of Surulere as well. But because I wasn't there, I cannot categorically say that I witnessed such.
All right. Do you have any issue of vote buying or any irregularities apart from what you've heard? Did you witness anything like vote buying or any other irregularity that you might just want to tell us about?
Well, not necessarily, except that voting did not commence at this ward until about some minutes to 10 o'clock. So it took more than an hour before voting commenced in this ward. Apart from that, there was really no presence of security here. And basically, that's it. No reports of vote buying.
Well, having started the election quite late, did the INEC officials confirm if they would extend the time for the benefit of those who probably had been there waiting for them and the time lost? I mean, how do they plan to compensate the people Because, I mean, voting is supposed to have stopped at 2:30, and then having started at 10, that's like about an hour or 2 hours lost in between. Tell us about that.
Right. Well, the INEC officials didn't have to compensate because voter turnout really dwindled by noonday. So from 9 until about 12, there was great turnout. However, from 12 until now, voter turnout dwindled. When I came back at 12:30 or thereabouts, I saw that the place was almost empty. Voters hadn't turned up anymore, so there was really no need to extend the time.
Okay. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for that detailed report. We appreciate. I'm sure if there's any more updates, you keep us updated, right? Thank you and well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Yvonne there all the way from Surulere and reporting to you situation there. I'm sure if there's any update, I will still get in touch with Yvonne and talk to her. Coming back to the studio to Mazi. A lot of issues, Mazi, a lot of issues that you've raised, with regards to INEC, which is the governing body, covering elections and all of that. I don't know what exactly the impression will be. And as much as, these are areas of concerns, I know a lot of people will say we're focusing on the negative, but it's very imperative to talk about how we can strengthen this electoral process. Because if you get a near perfect electoral process, I don't know if anybody can really want to dwell on the negligible negatives. But basically, how do, okay, I understand. Idris Miliki. Idris Miliki is on standby from Kogi State.
The studio, yeah.
Hello, Idris.
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, Idris.
Can you see me?
I can't see you.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I can only hear you.
You can see me, man?
No, I cannot see you, Idris Miliki.
Okay, let me put in the. Okay, okay. Can you see me now?
No, Idris, we cannot see you. We do not have your visuals.
The video. Can you see me in the studio now?
No, we cannot. But it's okay. Even if you can't put on the visuals, we can hear you loud and clear. So you might just go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead. We cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, go on.
Right. So tell us where exactly are you reporting from in Kogi? What's the situation report so far?
Okay, I'm actually in Kababunu, Jumo local government in Kogi State.
All right, good. So tell us, what has it been like from the beginning in terms of INEC coming in on time, bringing in, logistics, and then voter turnout and any other issues or, the strength you've noticed so far? Let's hear from you.
To us, of course, I have visited not less than 20 polling units and actually started here. What we witnessed where we are presently, they came at about 8 o'clock and then sorting out about 8:45, voting actually commenced. The turnout, naturally, as far as we are concerned, if you look at the number of persons that we saw, it's not more than 45%. So it's a bit low. But people actually came out to cast their vote. And they're still hanging around now. Now they are sorting out. You can see from the background now. I wish you can see me from the video so that you can see the INEC officials themselves who are sorting out themselves. You can hear them now. You can see he's sorting them out. Party. He has concluded the counting of the presidency of different political parties. He's now doing the one for the Senate.
Okay, so having concluded that of the presidential election, has that been transmitted electronically as is expected? Because that's what's supposed to be.
You said?
Has that been transmitted electronically for the presidential?
They are not sorting it out. They have to sort everything out.
Oh, okay.
And then they will record in their relevant document before they can transmit electronically.
Okay.
You cannot, after counting just one, you now transmit. No, they have to sort it out according to each of the. They are having 3 elections today: the president, the House of Rep, and the Senate. So now they have counted and recorded the president of the party. They are now moving to the Senate. When they do that, they will go to their master document and record it, and then they can now transmit. The transmission is the last one. After they transmit it, they will now paste on the wall according to the number of result that has been casted. So they cannot just pick the presidency and now transmit it up like that and now go back to the Senate. No, that's not the procedure.
Oh, okay. That's interesting to know. What other issues? Did you have any issues of violence? Did you have any vote buying? How peaceful was the process so far?
You see, for those of us who have been observing the election for quite some time, who have visited places like I was in Ekiti and I was in Osun State, vote buying are not done at the polling unit. Of course, we couldn't see it, but we can see some signal that indicated the fact that, like, some places where, okay, I saw somebody somewhere, although not here, collecting somebody's PVC and say it's cool down. I also have an advantage of language. I'm also from this environment. I'm from this federal constituency. So whatever language they are speaking, I can also hear it. So the other thing that we also find out is that maybe because it is not an isolated election like we had in places like Ekiti, the number of security persons are very minimal. In most places that we have visited, we only have one security persons, but we have, in most cases, 3 or 4 polling agents, and everywhere we've gone, we are noticing that it's only one beavers, but the beavers were working. They use either the facial or the fingerprint. But most of the time they use the facial because the facial is faster than the fingerprint. But all in all, they are all working. We can give the beavers excellent performance.
Oh.
And the people were patient. Around our area here, we've not seen any violence so far.
Wow, that's very interesting and heartwarming to hear that report that the beavers didn't give much of a problem and the security situation was quite good. Thank you so much, Mr. Idris, for that report.
For the purpose of record, and the INEC might be listening, where we got and find that we have 989 registered voters. They ought to have had 2 beavers in such a place. In fact, I left there now, and we still have up to 100 persons on the line. I know they are supposed to have concluded by 2:30.
Oh, yes.
But the law says that where people are still on the queue by 2:30, they must be allowed to cast their vote. In such a place, you can be sure that in the next 2 hours, they will still be casting votes there. But so that is just an isolated cases.
All right.
But I think we expect INEC to know where you have large registrants to deploy more beavers there. But they are all working and people are patient and patiently waiting to cast their vote.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Idris. I appreciate your in-depth report there. Thank you so much.
And also, you need to remember that the Kaba is also the headquarters of the Kababunu Federal Constituency.
Okay.
And then the Western Central District. So it is here that the result will be declared. I'm not talking of this polling unit, but I'm talking of this town. So this place is also very unique and important to the election itself.
All right. Thank you so much for those details there. I appreciate it.
So it's a pleasure.
All right. Well, that was Idris there.
I'll be returning back to Lokoja now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I would expect if there's any update, you get in touch and we'll put you on to actually update us. All right, then. Thank you so much. That was Idris. Mazi, you heard Idris there, about the reports coming in from Kogi, Kaba, where he is and what he said about the beavers. You find a large amount of voter turnout and then the beavers are just one for over 900 people or thereabout.
Same in my polling unit here in Kubwa Primary School. Mm-hmm. I discovered that every polling unit have only one beaver. And to tell you, in my particular polling unit, when we started, I heard somebody who collected the number of 670 while I was still on the line, the queue to take my accreditation. So after my accreditation, I knew that people swayed, the number swayed. And you can imagine, we're still using one beaver. And, the funny thing is that Africans, we are traditional people. They'll say this one is pregnant. You abandon the queue and attend to the pregnant person. They say this person is a teenager. We abandon the authentic queue and attend to the teenager. Mm-hmm. And also some people came in with a car. This person is sickling and he needs to get attention. So by the time those people are being attended to with just one beaver, you see the line was swelling up. And by the time we wasted that time and the ballot paper came in and those mistakes were rectified and the queue is... So what we will end up doing now, I've left that place and I'm coming here and I know that people are still doing accreditation, but they are already on queue, as Malik said, by the law. They're already on queue and the beaver is just one, and they will all come through the beaver before they go through their vote. So when will they finish voting, and when will we start counting? These are the things we are talking about. This election could be easier if the people who thought of it, or people who are framing it. You see, we've moved. I must give it to Nigeria. We've moved. We have it when there was nothing. Then we went through the other one, and now we're in the beaver time. I believe that we will go to a hybrid electioneering. But I think the ultimate one is you don't need to have a PVC. All you need is your NIN number as a Nigerian, or your driver's license, because the NIN number is a central thing. All you need is just be a NIN number, and you just have an app, and you go to INEC, and they put all the gadgets, and you can vote as a Nigerian.
That's some of the improvements that a lot of CSOs and stakeholders are advocating for. We'll still continue with that line, but then we understand Joseph Jaho is on standby. Joseph, good afternoon to you. How are you doing this afternoon? Can you unmute your mic? Joseph, we cannot hear you. Unmute your mic, please. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you. How are you? Oh, wow. You're sounding very, very far. We can hardly hear you. Okay. I think there's a problem with the audio from Joseph's end there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, it's coming in and out. Hello.
It's loud now. You can let me know so I can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit loud. I don't know what's happening here. They are having a little issue, and the security officers are just turning up now because the party agent in this particular polling unit was 12-002.
Wow.
They tried to cause.
Joseph's audio is really, really poor. I wish we could have something, Okay.
They left where they're supposed to be. Now the party agent. They now sold in where the INEC officials are. So people are protesting, telling them to leave where the police, where the INEC officials are, then they take that place and back home, so that they don't want them to affect anything that is happening in the event. The party agencies were protesting, and also from what they are doing, that the INEC officials came very late. It came very late, and everything was protesting.
I am afraid. Okay. This is really problematic for us, as we can't get the audio, and we may not be able to continue with this call right now as it is. We may have to reconnect with you, Joseph, if you can hear me. We may have to reconnect with you because the audio is very bad, and we may not be able to continue with the call so far. Okay. Joseph, if you can hear me, just disconnect and try to reconnect back. So, because the audio is very poor, and we may not be able to continue unless we have a better audio.
I will try to reconnect.
All right, thank you so much for that. Right, we have Thompson Oga. We understand Thompson Oga is on standby, and let's just join Thompson very quickly and get to hear from him before we continue with the discussions. Right now, it's 3:29 p.m. Live in the Nigeria Info's studio. Thompson, good afternoon to you. Hello, Thompson. Can you unmute your mic, please? Okay. Okay. We have Thompson live. Hello, Thompson. How are you doing? Hello, Thompson. Thompson, we're waiting for you. Can you hear us and can you respond? All right. Seems there are some technical hitches there, especially with the audio. But Mazi, I mean, let's come back to some of the issues. I asked you about a question, and you were trying to explain your opinion about, you know, the number of beavers as against the number of people on the queue and all of that.
My issue is that we have grown a little bit, but the issue is that we need to speed up whatever we are doing, because the population is surging and our youth are getting restless.
Yes.
Now, you can imagine the logistic cost, the amount the government has budgeted for this election, and the way we are doing it manually. You know, it benefits some people, and that's why they want to encourage it. But it will be more seamless if we spend so much in technology, and that's what advanced countries are adapting to. You see, I don't subscribe that the election could just end in one day. I believe that we can do it in a way that it will be seamless and it be less cumbersome. Now, to conduct election over the square meters of Nigeria, in one day, it's really cumbersome. A lot of aircraft, a lot of logistics, a lot of things are put into place. But if you deploy technology, I think we will be having a more direct and more, we gain time and less expense on logistics.
All right, then let's just take some feedbacks from people out there in the field, our listeners and people who are probably on the queues trying to vote or have already voted. We want you to be as brief as you can. Just share, you know, one or two observation of yours, your experiences. We'll be glad to hear from you. Call 0700 951 0000 and 080 9597 4869. Hello? Hello? Okay, seems we have a little hitch there with this call. Let's take on this one. Hello? Hello? Okay. Oh, don't know what's happening with the audio this afternoon, though. Okay, we have another caller. Hello? Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Welcome.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Tell us your name and what polling unit are you right now?
Okay, my name is Sunday Peter. I'm calling from Karimu, polling unit 018.
All right, Sunday, what do you want to tell us about, you know, situation there?
Okay, what I want to tell you is up till now, the INEC officials are not yet in my polling unit. And we have
from morning?
This morning. We came. Yes, we came. So I was here by 6. We waited for them. They came by 10 o'clock. They came with the wrong beavers to the polling unit. So they tried to do the accreditation. The thing didn't work. So they said they are going back. Since they went back 11 a.m. up to now, they are not yet back. And we are still here waiting for them. This thing can be moved. Polling unit, the polling unit number is 018. That is 018.
Wow.
We're here. So waiting for them since morning. They are not here. And people have been here waiting under the sun. I don't know. We are just here frustrated and we are not hearing anything from any officials or nobody's here to give us any information about the INEC officials, whether they are coming or they are not coming again.
Wow, that's quite worrisome. And nobody has come to address the crowd. Nobody has said anything.
Nobody. And there are some polling units that they have only 5 people in that polling unit. Where I went to, they said they have voted, 4 people have voted, and it's remaining 1 person that they are waiting for. While other polling units like mine is still waiting, we are still waiting for the INEC officials to come.
All right. Thank you so much for that report. You said 018 in Karimo, right? Polling unit 018?
Yeah, 018 in Karimo Chief Palace.
Okay, Karimo Chief Palace. All right.
Up to now.
Thank you.
This is almost 3 and we haven't seen them
It's
yet.
quite sad because it's even way past, the approved time for the votings to end. And to think that you have not started is something that I can't imagine what could have possibly happened.
Yes, that is what I'm worried about. Understand? I've been calling your station since to give this report.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. At least we have taken note of that.
So please, you should just try and get in touch with the INEC officials so that they will just, do something about it. We are still waiting.
Okay.
We are still hoping that they will come. And people are still waiting. Old people, young people are still waiting for them.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wonder what's happening in 018 polling unit in Karimo. It's already 3:35 as we speak right now. But that live report coming in from Karimo is quite discouraging and disappointing and disheartening all at once. To think that it's already this past time for the elections to stop and INEC officials are yet to come back and no one is addressing the people. I can imagine how many people are being disenfranchised by this very process, which is something that needs to be investigated and needs to be looked into. Okay, we have Lota on standby. Lota, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
How are you doing, Lota? Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I'm doing quite okay. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. We understand you're in Okota Sele.
Yes. Currently, I'm at Agbo Palace Way.
Okay.
Yes, that's where I'm at. In fact, to be precise, I'm at Latif Adeboyega Street. That's off Agbo Palace Way, Oshodi Solo Local Government. Okay, with the polling number 075. Earlier, I've been to other polling units, like the one at Okiki, also around Agbo Palace Way, with polling number 076, and Idowu Rufai Street, with the polling number 074. So basically, all these polling units, they don't seem to have started their collations yet.
So all this polling units you've been to, voting has ended so far? Like, you mean it went seamlessly and...
No. The one I'm at, where I'm reporting live from, which is at Adegboyega, they're still voting. And I'm not quite surprised because they started their voting process very late. Okay, the voters, they were here, they were venting, they were frustrated. Even the one at Okiki Street, it was just a copper that was in charge of all of it. So it was a very disorganized process. So basically, it was the voters themselves that decided to take it upon themselves to make sure everything goes in order. That's just it, basically. But for now, no collation has started in all three polling units so far.
Okay, so I'm sure you also visited other polling units before coming over Lota. Were there reports of, late coming, or have the beavers and the process been seamless in all of them too?
Same thing, late coming. Some places, their party agents are not even available. They were not even available. No party candidates even came through. That's from the House of Rep. So it was basically just very... In fact, I think within this Agbo Palace Way, some streets are currently having issues. Like, they were actually having issues a few hours ago. But for now, the election has been free and fair. So everyone is just trying to cast in their votes and, just waiting for the counting. That's just it, basically.
Okay. Any concerns about vote buy-in, security, anything like that?
Well, for the one at Adegboyega, where I'm at, the security personnel came in very late. The man was just seated. He didn't quite act like, okay, he was actually a security personnel. So for other polling units around, there are no signs of any security personnel. The voters were quite frustrated about that because they were actually in shock, because why will there not be any security personnel in any location, in any polling units whatsoever? So it was just very, very, very discouraging at some point. But like I said, everyone is just after casting their votes. That's just it.
All right. Thank you so much, Lota, for that in-depth report. Appreciate. If there is any more update, I'm sure you'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good day. Okay, so that's Lota there all the way from Lagos reporting situation for us. It's quite interesting to know that developments seem to just be similar all through, from Abuja to Lagos to Kogi down to Kaduna and other parts of the country where we're reporting live from. We get to talk more about that. Please just be a bit patient, Mazi. We'll come back to the studio. We have Joseph Jaho trying to reconnect. I hope the audio would be much better this time around. Jaho, good afternoon to you, Joseph.
Yeah, is it good morning or still good evening?
It's, well, good afternoon or good evening. It's 3:40 right here in Abuja, though. So can you put on your camera so we can see you, or that's not possible?
Okay, I'm coming. All right, let me get to a quiet place. Can you see me now?
Oh, yes, we can see you. Thank you so much for connecting. Now, tell us where you are exactly. What polling unit are you? What location?
I'm in GRA. The polling unit name is 002. From what they told me here, 002, that's a polling unit. Ward 12, exactly. That was the same polling unit I was reporting to you, because I've gone round.
That's in Lagos State, right? Inland town.
No, this is Onitsha, Anambra State.
Oh,
Onitsha.
okay. All right. And Onitsha. All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Joseph.
Okay, so from what I've seen so far, the election is going smoothly. The only problem we had was that INEC came very late in some polling units. The first polling unit that they are having issue now is Idemili North. That is also in Anambra State here. Idemili North in Anambra State. In Board Junction, there's a polling unit called Board Junction area. That's a polling unit 002. That's in Board Junction. INEC came with the beavers of another local government to that polling unit, and although they came late, they came around 12. They said, okay, they are trying to log in, and the digits or so, the password they are having, cannot log into that particular beavers. When they now later discover that the beavers machine that they are having with them at that particular unit at Nkwo, the Idemili North local government area, was not for that particular polling unit, and not also for the local government area where the beavers is. So they are, what the INEC official there now told them was that they are going to rectify the issue and come back tomorrow to conduct election there. I don't know how true that will be. So I left there. I listened when you were asking Luther about the security personnel on the road here. In Anambra State, we have 0 security personnel on the road, especially the major roads in Anambra State. It seems like they just left all the road for, when you're, this is not my first time to conduct an election anyway. 2019, when you're moving around to monitor the election exercise, you see maybe the police or the military having a checkpoint in some of the major roads to ask you, okay, where are you going to? Why are you moving by this time? Which area are you going to? Can you show us proof that you are an electorate, or you're someone that is monitoring the election? No military or force personnel along all this, the roads so far I, Joseph, have gone to. No military or police personnel there. So when I moved to the polling units at GRA, that's Omonia Street. There's one polling unit, Leamington. You will see a canopy, a white canopy there.
Yes.
That's a polling unit. The INEC officials also came late in this particular polling unit. They came around 12 o'clock. And before they will come, the people around here who want to conduct who want to cast their vote has already given each other number. That's your number one, your number two. They wrote it on a paper.
Okay.
And they are the one that even brought the canopy. They fixed the canopy, then used rope to barricade the canopy. As where the INEC people will stay, they use a rope to barricade it. That is only people that, if your number is close, you can come closer to that rope, so that when it's your turn, you just move under it and approach the INEC people, then cast the vote. Then, before we could get here, I was monitoring to see how it's going. Some party agents now moved across the rope and now started talking to the INEC
officials.
Before they would know what will happen, everybody, those people who were on the line, now moved to with them and told them that you don't need to be with these INEC people. You have to stay at outside the rope where we are barricaded, so that we can conduct the election peacefully. But those party agents refused to come out from there, so they started fighting. They fought a little while here before they now have to call the police and the military who came. They are still there. Let me approach, but you may not be hearing me, or I will not be hearing you well if I get close to there, because it's very noisy. So they now have to come there to conduct, drive out everyone that's okay. If you can see, you'll see the
okay, we can
very well.
Yes.
To the camera, you see the police personnel.
Yes.
Also the military personnel trying to make sure that there is normalcy restored.
Yes.
In this particular polling unit, and they are telling those who are not supposed to be inside that barricade. I told you, you see people standing outside. There's a row barricade that they use there. So they are telling those people that you have to come out and allow this electorate to move inside when it's their turn to move. No party agent
is allowed
inside. So the military and the police are still here trying to make sure that nobody comes inside here when it's not yet your turn to be here.
Wow. Thank you so much, Joseph. It's quite interesting to see what's happening there live. Very in-depth report you've given to us. We really appreciate that. But, one thing that you said that caught my attention is the fact that, security outside of where you are right now, in view of what's been happening in the South is, it's of great concern to hear that you don't find security being put up like outside, to ensure that that is checkmated. Maybe quickly, you might just want to say something about that before we let you go.
I was expecting to see heavy military presence and heavy police presence along most of the major road. I also traveled to Newi, that particular local government, that's Newi North. I also traveled to Newi North to also monitor how the election is going in that particular area, because from the news we had a hunter went to the bush and picked up
PVCs, yes,
uncollected PVC. So I have to go to that particular local government to see how election is going there. Throughout my travel from Onitsha, because Newi is very far from Onitsha, throughout my travel from Onitsha to Newi, I didn't see a single military. But the driver that was driving me was like, Joseph, can't we go back? I said, no, we are going to Newi. We say, you get mine. I said, we are going to say, at least we're supposed to see at least police, so that we'll have the mind to drive to those areas, say no. Since this election is happening and they are not on the road, maybe that's a technique they want to use. Maybe that's their new technique they want to use.
Okay.
So let's drive. And when we drive through, everywhere was peaceful till we get to Nnewi. And when I monitor also some of the area, the most important thing that is that Umudim Ward 1, the polling unit that INEC Council, election is not happening there in Onitsha North, but some other area where INEC didn't council their polling unit in Nnewi North there. Election is going there peacefully.
Okay.
Because INEC says because of insecurity that made them to cancel some of those polling units. But when I went there on Nnewi North, election is going peacefully at Nnewi North, and there's no violence whatsoever. I went to Nnewi South too. The same thing is happening there. Funny enough, some of the people cooked.
Oh, wow.
They cook.
Interesting.
They bought drink. Even here, even at this polling unit now, some people cooked and they bought drink and just sit down and have fun. So that's what so far I saw.
All right.
No violence so far in Anambra State in all the ward and polling unit I've gone
that you visited.
The only issue we have in Anambra is that there's always a mix. Maybe they will use this BVAD machine for another
yes.
to another polling unit. That's the only issue
okay.
I've seen so far.
Thank you so much, Joseph. It was really interesting talking to you, showing us pictorial and stories to back up everything that you've done so far. Really appreciate your good work.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good day. That was Joseph all the way from Anambra giving us situation report as regards the election process going on so far. So good. Very quickly before we continue our discussion, let's just join Thompson Oga. Thompson has been covering areas like Luke Bay, Airport Road, and the likes of them right here in the Federal Capital Territory. Thompson Oga, how are you doing? Good afternoon to you. Thompson, can you hear me? Okay, I think Thompson isn't ready, but then we'll continue our discussion. Whenever he is ready, he will come up on board. Mazi, you heard, that situation there in the south it's quite impressive to know that. I mean, so far, not anything that Joseph has heard, with regards to security situation, because I was getting worried about the southeastern part of Nigeria.
It's the whole thing lie down at when the people want to do what is right, or where people feel that they are not being heard. You see, the worst thing that can happen to any human being, even the philosophers and political science will tell you that when people get this agitation is when the people can't feel that they can make expression, they can share their feeling, they can make their opinion known. I think this election provides everybody who has been bottled these few weeks, people who have been bottled these few weeks to express their anger or to express what they feel in the ballot box. I think it's not just in the southeast, it's everywhere. Like what Elfizi said, I also noticed that in the part of Kubwa where you see a lot of young men who drive Okada, and you see probably somebody telling you that what difference has it made all this while I've been traveling to the village, to Kusana, to all part of not to go and make my vote. What difference did that my life been better? I think people are beginning to, and that is what we don't want it to happen. We want to make it easy for people to see that whatever your feeling is, or whatever shared feeling everybody have, we can go to the ballot paper or ballot box and change things. Until we have that confidence, we might have what we are having now. So that's just it. So there's nowhere that people will have room to make their expression known that they will not access those avenues.
All right, let's go to the phone lines and take on this caller. Hello. Hello, good afternoon. afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. This is Engineer Joseph.
Engineer who?
Ude.
Okay. Welcome then. Tell us, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Madala, New Site Madala.
All right. So, Engineer, what's happening there?
Yeah, I voted at Madala Primary School, which is my polling unit number is 003. Are you hearing me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Actually, I voted, my wife has voted. Madala is not known for electoral. There was no electoral violence. And then there was presence of the military. There was presence of law enforcement. But the actual thing that made me to call is that I was voting with electronic voting. But what I voted is manual. Manual in the sense that the identification of who you are and whether you are real and whatever, they will do it electronically.
Okay, I'm afraid we may have to stop here and take on some quick commercials. Then we will come right back to continue our discussion here on 95.1 Nigeria Info. Please don't go anywhere. Do stay with us.
This is Nigeria Info.